Psychologists believe Vygotsky's zone of proximal development refers to the range of abilities that a person can perform with the help or guidance of an expert or a more knowledgeable person, and what they can without help or guidance. In educational practice, classroom assessment is utilized by educators to measure what learners can do on their own using the knowledge and skills they have learned, paving the way for further development of higher order thinking skills and the 21st century skills. But what is classroom assessment? Assessment is a joint process involving both the teachers and the students. In a classroom setting, it is always the teacher who implements or designs assessment tools to measure what the learners or the students know and what they can do. So, classroom assessment always involves both the teachers and the students. Classroom assessment must be in unity with instruction. There has to be alignment between assessment tools and instruction. Say for example, if the lesson or the topic is about creating a DNA model, it is very inappropriate to measure students' learnings using a true or false test. Classroom assessment is used to track learning progress. Through the use of assessment, the students' learning progress can be monitored, and the teacher can now determine whether they have met the standards or competencies of the curriculum. Lastly, classroom assessment promotes self-reflection among students about their own learning. The result of the assessment process can help students identify their strengths and weaknesses, which they can use for improvement.
Assessment in classroom is aimed at helping students perform well in relation to the learning standards and learning competences that are in the curriculum. These learning standards and competences are content standards, performance standards, learning competences, and concept development. To align the assessment process with the K-12 curriculum, the adopted process with the cognitive process dimension is used as a guide. These include the remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Learners are assessed in the classroom through various processes and measures appropriate to with learning competences from the K-12 curriculum. Learners can be assessed individually and collaboratively. There are different types of assessment that a teacher could use, but the most used are the formative and the summative assessment. Formative assessment could be done before, during, and after the discussion. Examples of these are short presentations, exercises, and quizzes. Summative assessment, on the other hand, is classified into three components. These are the written works, performance tasks, and the quarterly assessment of the learners.
What is a grading system? The K-12 education program uses a standard-based and competency-based grading system. This grading system can be found in the curriculum manuals. The weighted row score of the summative assessment will be used to determine all grades. A minimum grade of 60 is required to pass a particular learning area, which is reported as 75 on the report card. Grade 1 to 12 are graded on written works, performance tasks, and quarterly assessment in every quarter. These are the basis of giving or computing particular weights that depends on the atmosphere of the learning area. How is learner progress recorded and computed? For kindergarten, a separate memorandum will be published with guidelines relevant to the evaluation of kindergarten pupils. For grade 1 to 12, there is a quarterly assessment during a grading period, but there should be opportunities for students to generate written work and demonstrate what they know and can perform through performance tasks. There are 5 steps in computing for the final grades. First, all student grades are combined together. Second, each of total components is multiplied by a percentage. Third, the value of each component in fostering learning in different course topic is then transformed to weighted scores using percentage scores. Fourth, the starting grade is calculated by adding weighted scores from each component. Fifth, in student's report card, the quarterly grade for each learning area is listed. So, how are grades computed at the end of the school year? For kindergarten, there are no numerical grades. For grade 1 to 10, the final grades are calculated by taking the average of the quarterly grades. For grade 11 to 12, there are 2 semesters. The 2 quarters determine the final grade in a semester. How is learners' progress reported? So during parent-teacher conference, the report cards are presented and discussed by the teacher for the parents to know about the performance of their students in school. And last, how are learners promoted or retained at the end of the school year? In promoting or retaining students at the end of the school year, the teacher will be based on the performance of students.
How are the core values of the Filipino child reflected in the report card? So the core values is composed of core, which is the matuchos, makatao, makakalikasan, at makabansa. These core values are reflected in the report card with the behavior statement and indicators in each of it. And it has a marking for the observed values, which is AO, always observe, SO, sometimes observe, RO, rarely observe, and NO, not observe. How is attendance reported? The attendance are reported in a way that the number of school days in each month is presented, which is based on the school calendar for a given school year, and the number of days that the student is present and absent is also included, and the recording of the attendance is reflected in the report card. 2. Classroom assessment is reported. The classroom assessment is reported to the child, its remedial class teacher, and the teacher of the next grade level, as well as the child's parents or guardian. That helps them understand the learner's progress on curriculum